After the U.S. Supreme Court decided to allow Texas's Heartbeat Act to go into effect this month, the U.S. Department of Justice made an emergency request to halt the law's enforcement. But yesterday, a federal judge rejected that request, delivering another blow to the Biden administration. Joining me now to talk about the latest legal victory for the Texas Heartbeat Act is John Seago, Legislative Director at Texas Right to Life. John, welcome to Washington Watch.
Great. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you. First, just tell us about the emergency motion filed by the Department of Justice.
Yep. So after some unprecedented victory here in Texas with our Texas Heartbeat Act, we saw the Biden administration launch an attack last week on our pro-life bill. This bill is saving lives every day, and every day we have been praising this victory and thankful for the lives that it's being saved. But the Biden administration not just filed a lawsuit against us last week, but now earlier this week asked for this emergency motion. We need to stop this bill immediately. And thankfully, the judge has decided, no, I'm not going to give you that. We will schedule a hearing to debate those issues later. But for the time being, the bill is still being enforced here in Texas and saving lives.
So what does that mean for the litigation that is currently underway?
Well, there's two different federal cases right now. One of them is kind of on a slow track in the Fifth Circuit. And then this Department of Justice case that the United States has brought against Texas is the most imminent threat against the Texas Heartbeat Act. It is the vehicle that the pro-abortion side could use to stop this bill from saving lives like it is right now. And so on October 1st, there's going to be a hearing to discuss that kind of request for an injunction. And it is a unprecedented request. We're seeing the kind of most aggressive pro-abortion administration attack a state for standing up and attempting to save lives. The pro-abortion side is no longer willing to just let the Supreme Court do the business of striking down pro-life laws. They are actually actively trying to get involved to ask an activist federal judge to stop this law. And so we'll see if they're successful in that on October 1st.
The judge that ruled against the Department of Justice this week is an Obama appointee. I assume he's the one that will be overseeing the trial as well?
Yeah, Judge Pitman is going to be containing this case over the next few steps of the development. And he is dealing with the other federal case on it as well. And, you know, Texas Right to Life, we're just thankful that he kind of took a step back, at least for this emergency motion, and said that this is such an unprecedented request from the Biden administration that he needs to hear oral arguments. And that's what the state of Texas asked him to do.
In the meantime, the law remains in effect. What kind of impact are we seeing on the ground in Texas?
It is absolutely phenomenal what we're seeing here in Texas. The pro-life movement here in Texas is witnessing a taste of what a abortion-free state looks like. We're starting to see what it would be like if we were able to rid our society of the injustice of elective abortion. So we're seeing clinics close down because they can no longer do abortions after 6 weeks. We're seeing pregnancy centers having 3 or 4 times the women coming through their front door because they're looking for alternatives and how they can be supported through their pregnancy. It is a very exciting time here in Texas, and our estimation is that we're seeing about 120 to 150 lives being saved every day here in Texas.
Which is, of course, terrific news, and the reason why people have been fighting ever since Roe was first put into law. Do you have the sense that the church is rising to the challenge and standing in the gap that the abortion clinics were once filling in Texas?
One of the most encouraging things for us has been to see churches help their local pregnancy centers. Some churches here in Texas have started these pregnancy centers. Others have opened up adoption ministries and other ways to support women and families who are facing unexpected pregnancies and other difficult circumstances. And so that is really where we need the church right now. We are happy to hear churches preach about abortion. We're happy for the pastors that came to the Capitol to support the Texas Heartbeat Act. Some very dear friends of ours who came and asked their congregations to be active. But now, once we're seeing kind of a taste of what an abortion-free state would look like, we need the church more than ever to not just say no to abortion, but to say yes to these women, to support these families and their decision to choose this life-affirming option.
Are you hearing from legislators, lawmakers in other states who see what's happening in Texas and maybe gaining inspiration from that?
Yes, we are. It's, what we did here in Texas is a little bit unique legally, the way that we set up our law with the enforcement. There's a couple of reasons that we did that, but it is kind of providing for the movement an alternative to the typical route we go, where a state will be bold, stand up and pass a strong pro-life bill, and immediately it gets enjoined by an activist federal judge. We're kind of seeing an alternative route, and a lot of states are encouraged by that, even states that have already passed a heartbeat bill with the traditional enforcement mechanism. And so I expect in the next few weeks, you'll see 5 or 6 states introduce new heartbeat legislation with kind of a unique enforcement mechanism.
There is a lot of criticism directed toward the Heartbeat Act because it's a little different. It's awkward in some ways compared to other pieces of legislation. But the fact is that was done purposefully. And the fact that it was done that way is the reason it has not yet been thrown out by a judge. And so there's a long history and conversation behind that. But that's what the casual observer needs to understand. It is, in fact, the awkwardness of the law that allows it to survive. John, we got about 30 seconds. But what do we expect? What do we expect? What's the next step in this litigation against the Heartbeat Act?
Yeah, we're going to have that October 1st hearing from the Department of Justice and see the full attack of the Biden administration. They're trying to enjoin every private party in Texas from enforcing this law. We're also going to see another federal case in the Fifth Circuit move forward. So a lot of legal fighting. But here at Texas Right to Life, and I know around the pro-life movement, we're celebrating more than 100 lives saved per day and working with other states that can emulate this success.
And we celebrate with you. John Seago, Texas Right to Life. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.